The future of advice and where we're really going is that advisors who are able to make the shift and become powerful listeners to what clients want and requires that the advisor defines who the client is they wish to serve and then ask the right questions. The power is in the question. What do clients want and what will having that do for them? And if the advisors of the future spend more time thinking like a marketing research firm, where you're exploring what others want, and you're able to build and deliver that, then you're going to win the future. And I'll give you a very specific example. We recently conducted, and this advisor has a really nice, successful business focusing mostly on the affluent and ultra affluent. And when we conducted the latest advisory board meeting, two things came from the clients that were more than aha kind of discussion points. One was, hey, you've got a really good tech platform, but it feels out of date. Coming from a 68-year-old, fairly affluent, it's like, look, yeah, your app's good, it's all good, but you know what? From everything else I'm using, this feels out of date. And so the digital experience isn't for the 23-year-old; it's for the 68-year-old, right? Because they're doing the same thing. He's in the south of France wanting to move money from one account to another, and it looks like an old DOS version of something, and not a right. And so he's like, yeah, it works, but it's not as intuitive, right? Thank you, Steve Jobs. Everything just got more intuitive, right? Okay, so that was one thing. That whole digital interface. And delivery, 2 o'clock in the morning, the client wants to be able to play what if on their financial plan, and you've got it. Doesn't mean they don't value the advisor. It means they want access and an ability to do so. The second thing that came from the meetings, which I thought was really, really interesting, was, and there was a pretty nice group of clients. They all had the same issue, but they had a different take on the issue. The issue was, they said to the advisory firm, they said, your firm's not doing enough to educate the heirs of our wealth about what we want for our wealth. And it was really interesting because part of this firm's value proposition is they really help their clients define what they want for their wealth, like the purpose. They've acquired wealth, and so now what good do they want to do in the world, and not just the philanthropic kind of piece, but the longevity and the transfer of that wealth multi-generationally. Well, one of the clients said, my daughter really doesn't care much about money. She just knows it's there and can do anything she wants. And so how do you plan on educating her and connecting with her? Wow. Because you're talking about the investment piece, and she really doesn't care much about the investment piece. And so how is your firm plan on connecting with her as an heir? Whereas, my son, he works in the banking field, and he really is deeply connected to understanding the capital markets and is willing to have those complex capital market wealth management-y kind of conversations. He says, I've got 2 kids, and they couldn't be further from each other. Interesting. The future of advice is connecting with each of them. And the future of advice is that firm built to serve both of them. Both of them. Yeah. And that's a tricky proposition because it isn't the old days of just finding a bunch of people who got money and charging them 1 point and calling yourself a fiduciary. The future of advice is about listening to what clients want and delivering for them. This client was saying... Simple. Simple, right? Wave a magic wand. Yeah. Pixie dust, boom, right? But the client was saying, you need to connect with both of them. Yeah. How do you plan on doing it? Wow. Oh, and by the way, my app works fine, but it doesn't feel like it's up to date. Right? So the future of advice, I think the evolution of advice is going to be connecting on a whole multitude of issues and being a better life coach and a partner to clients to help them make powerful decisions, connecting with the heirs of their wealth. Table stakes will be the investment management piece. Table stakes will be the delivery of quality products and best execution and financial planning and kind of putting in the models and the money. That's just going to get you a seat at the table. That's all that does, right? The relationship and helping people make powerful decisions and connecting to their future by designing systems and a structure and a pathway to get to that future will be what I think the future of advice will likely be more about.